Sure, the high school band's going to come right up in this opening, please.
Big step.
Color guards stand behind, flag bearers in front. Go forward.
I love you so much.
Take your spot now. You go.
There you are. I'll be right behind you.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Veterans Day, and welcome back. We're back again. Thank you all for being here. And to all my brother and sister veterans, thank you so much for your service to our country, and welcome home. And happy Veterans Day. We're now going to have a raising of the flag behind me. Commander Charles Culhane, DAV, Commander Tom Quigley, VFW, and Commander Dennis Devine, American Legion, will assist in the raising of the colors. Forward, march. Once again, good morning. Welcome all here on behalf of Mayor Scott Galvin, all of the elected officials here today, Larry Giuseppe, the Veteran Services Office for the City of Woburn, and myself, George Poole, Commander of the United Veterans Council. We want to welcome you all here today. This is a time that everybody can participate in our program. We're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance. I would request that veterans render the traditional military hand salute. Colors, right shoulder, arms. Present arms. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. 2. Colors. Order, arms. Parade, rest. This time I invite Deacon Phil Hardcastle to come up and lead us in an opening prayer. Deacon Phil.
I should have worn my sport coat today instead of the overcoat, a little too warm. In the 13th century in Europe, the world had grown cold to God and their fellow man. But there stepped on the scene a small man from a small town in Italy. And he really drew people to himself because of his love of God, love of human beings, and the love of everything created by him. His name was Francis Bernardoni. He came from a well-to-do merchant's family, and he enjoyed many things. But one day when he was an adult, he stood in front of a crucifix, and God spoke to him. He said, "Francis, I want you to rebuild my church." So he went about physically building the churches in the area that had kind of fallen down. But then another time, as he stood in front of a crucifix, God spoke to him once again. Francis, I want you to spiritually rebuild my church. So this man of the 13th century, known as Francis of Assisi, I'd like to share his peace prayer with you today. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. Grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive. It is in pardoning that we are pardoned. And it is in dying that we are born to eternal life.
This past August 26, 2021 was a very, very sad day for our country. In Kabul, Afghanistan, 13 great Americans gave their life serving for our country. 11 United States members of the United States Marine Corps, 1 member of the United States Navy, a hospital corpsman, and 1 sergeant from the United States Army, a special operations sergeant. We're going to have a moment of peace, but especially I do want to remember Marine Sergeant Johanny Rosario Picardo from Lawrence, Massachusetts. That brave hero gave her life for our country. And now at this time, we'd ask that we please have a moment of silence for those great American heroes. Thank you. This is the time that all veterans can be recognized today. We're going to have the Armed Forces medley sung by Joanne Campbell, accompanied by the Woburn City Band. And I believe it's going to go Army, Navy, Air Force, Coast Guard, and Marine Corps. Is that correct, Joanne?
Army, Navy, Coast Guard, Air Force, and Marine.
Now, I want every veteran here, when you hear your medley or your song from your branch of the service, I wanted you to render a nice military hand salute. And I want all of you to look around and see how many veterans that are here today. And anybody in the colors that is a veteran, please bring your colors to present arms. Without further ado, it gives me great honor to bring up Joanne Campbell to sing the Armed Forces medley. Joanne?
Army! And to build the nation's might, and the army goes rolling along. Proud of all we have done, fighting till the battle's won, and the army goes rolling along. Then it's hi, hi, hey, the army's on its way. Count off the cadence loud and strong. the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli. We fight our country's battles in the air, on land, and the sea. First to fight for right and the freedom, and to keep our honor clean. We are proud to claim the title of United States Marines.
Past year and a half, it's been a lot of problems having a Veterans Day program, Memorial Day program. However, it wasn't for the support and the efforts of Mayor Scott Galvin, we wouldn't have had anything, but we were able to at least do something to remember the 2 Memorial Days and last year Memorial Day. And without further ado, it does give me great pleasure to introduce the Mayor of our city, Scott Galvin, to share a few words about Veterans Day. Mayor Galvin.
Welcome, everybody. Beautiful day today. Perfect day for Veterans Day to celebrate and recognize the efforts of our veterans. In these parades come together, they don't come together, they look like they come together easy, but there's a lot of work put in by George Poole and Larry Giuseppe, so let's give them a great round of applause. All the work they do. And one of the things that you can see when you look around this great crowd is that Woburn supports and appreciates our veterans and everything they do for us. And it's really important on today, when you look around and we see all these young students, the young students know what Veterans Day means. They know what it means because of the great leadership of people like Larry Giuseppe, George Poole, Michael Mulrennan, and a number of others who go into the schools and tell them about Veterans Day, explain to them, and it's really nice to see so many children here. And it's important that the children on this day and every day, when you see a veteran, always make sure you thank them for their service, because that's what it's about. It's about what they've done for us, what they've allowed us to do, to come here and gather peacefully, to exercise all of our rights, our constitutional rights, which I know I say we take it for granted, and we wouldn't have all those rights if it weren't for the veterans who fight for us to secure those rights. So thank you, veterans. I also would like to recognize our police officers, our firemen. Police officers do a great job, and every day now we're hearing about somebody getting shot, which is totally unacceptable, but our police officers put their lives on the line every day, so thank you for what you do, and thanks for your families too. So enjoy Veterans Day, and thank you very much for coming out here.
Thank you, Mayor Galvin. At this time, it gives me pleasure to introduce to you State Senator Cindy Freeman to share a few words about Veterans Day.
Thank you. I want to echo the mayor's words. I really want to thank George and Larry for all the work they do, and they are wonderful representatives to the State House for the veterans of Woburn. And I also want to thank the Girl Scouts who let me walk with them in the parade. I can't think of a better, more beautiful day to recognize Veterans Day, especially in the town of Woburn, where it is such an important event and where you really do honor your veterans in a way that I find humbling. So I am honored to be here today to recognize the service and the many sacrifices our veterans have made in defending our country. To all the veterans here, I thank you for your determination, your strength, and your sacrifice in defense of our freedom. This Veterans Day is the first in 20 years that the United States is not engaged in active war, and it is long overdue that we shift our focus to address the needs of our veterans at home. Mental health concerns and challenges with rejoining the workforce plague too many of our service members who come home to find little help and inadequate support in place. We've done a lot in the legislature, like allocating funds to rebuild the Holyoke Soldiers Home and passing the SPEED Act to support military families who relocate here in our Commonwealth. But we have a lot more to do, and I pledge to you all that we will continue, because we really do honor you, we really do respect you, and we are deeply grateful for what you have done for us, and it's our turn to pay you back. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Cindy, for those kind words. And now it gives me great pleasure to introduce Woburn native Richard Heggie to share, State Representative Richard Heggie to share a few words on Veterans Day. Richard?
Thank you, George. Happy Veterans Day to all. Our community has sent its residents off to fight in every major American war, often serving with distinction, some not making it home, and this morning we joined together to say we remember and thank you. For generations, the men and women of Woburn and the men and women of America's armed forces have demonstrated their willingness to put country before self, patriots who serve for the greater good and who don't seek glory or recognition or personal gain. So today on Veterans Day, our nation honors the contributions of the nearly 22 million veterans living and all those who made the ultimate sacrifice in the name of liberty and justice. The story of those who have worn the uniform of the United States is the story of America, and it's the story of Woburn. A legacy of service, of freedom, of family, of community, of democracy. There are countless stories which spotlight the sense of duty in our people, but today I'd like to share just one with us about Woburn's Edward Ned O'Brien. Ned O'Brien was born November 12, 1945, just days after the close of World War II. He would have been 76 years old tomorrow. He was the son of Joseph and Florence O'Brien of Ingle Street, just up the road here off of Montvale Avenue. The home is still in the family today. He's a graduate of Woburn High with the class of '64, enlisted in the Navy. Later that year, he would be attached to the 7th Fleet. His final story in Vietnam would begin in May of '67 aboard the USS Osborne. See, during much of '67, the USS Osborne was in direct combat, including that fall of the same year when the Osborne was engaged in a series of battles as part of Operation Sea Dragon off the coast of North Vietnam. Just days before Ned was killed, the Osborne was credited with sinking 3 waterborne logistics craft and beaching a 4th. Sadly, O'Brien would be killed on December 4th, 1967 aboard the Osborne in the Gulf of Tonkin. He was one of 2 crew members killed when the ship came under fire from enemies. They took a direct hit, disabled the gun. Later, he would be posthumously awarded the Purple Heart. He was just 22 years old. Without the fearlessness and bravery of Ned, his brothers in arms, and countless others throughout history who are before us today and have joined us, we would not be the country we are today. We would not be the community we are today. You see, as a kid, I played a lot of hockey. And I would walk in and out of our rink down on Locust Street, never truly appreciating enough who that rink was named for. Maybe like many of you, not recognizing that the name O'Brien Rink meant more than simply a place to skate. It's the physical representation of the memory of a Vietnam veteran killed in service to his country. The plaque at the rink simply reads, "May Ned's name be long remembered in the sports scene of the city of Woburn." Today I challenge us all, 54 years after Ned's passing, that we recommit ourselves to telling that story and the story of so many others who have served, some who have not made it home. Because last year we were not able to gather as normal, I did want to take a minute just to mention that just prior to Veterans Day in 2020, Governor Baker signed legislation that I filed alongside Senator Friedman and Representative Ciccolo with the strong support of Mayor Galvin, our city council, to honor the memory of the valiant service of our heroes of Vietnam. The new name of the New Boston Street Bridge will be named the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Bridge. All of us know how important it is to appreciate Woburn's Vietnam veterans. Commitment to this country, and this is yet another way we say we remember and we will never forget. For many veterans, our nation was important enough to endure long separations from their families, miss the births of their children, freeze in sub-zero temperatures, bake in wild jungles, lose limbs, lose their lives. Military spouses have had to endure career interruptions, frequent changes of address, and a disproportionate share of parental responsibilities. That's why we come here today, to pause, to remember, to say thank you. We must appreciate them, we must remember them, and we must tell their stories. God bless all of you for being here. God bless our veterans, and may God continue to bless the United States of America.
A little addition to what Richard talked about Ned O'Brien. I knew him personally. He was an extremely funny person. When you were always around him, there was laughter and pandemonium. And he was just a fun guy. If you ever go into Calvary Cemetery, go down Central Street, go straight in the gate, and you go by the big cross as you get into the cemetery, and start down the hill on the right. There's a stone that says Lions, and that was his mother's name. He's buried right there at the edge of the road, and you can't miss a stone. His veterans marker is right there. At this time, it gives me pleasure to introduce State Representative Michelle Ciccolo to share a few words on Veterans Day. Michelle?
Good morning. What a beautiful day we have to celebrate Veterans Day. At a time when nothing feels normal and so many events are either canceled or relegated to Zoom, it's good to be back here again in person to celebrate together. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Michelle Ciccolo, and I serve as the representative for the 15th Middlesex District, which includes Wards 1 and 7 here in Woburn. I'm pleased to see so many people here today who have turned out to celebrate our veterans as we honor their service and cherish with gratitude the sacrifices made by all the men and women in uniform who serve our country and our community, and to also acknowledge their families who serve alongside them. It seems like just yesterday we were gathered to dedicate the bridge to the late Korean War veteran Angelo Piazzo, and not long before that, Staff Sergeant John M. Frullo Field for the Seven Flags Memorial, honoring our various military branches. It makes me proud that Woburn as a community knows the value of service, respects our servicemen and women, and makes a real concerted effort to honor their sacred commitment to uphold our freedoms as a nation. We should remember our veterans every day of the year, not just on Veterans Day. To all of the veterans in the audience today and everywhere, your service has given the rest of us a profound gift. In reflecting on the value of holding regular ceremonies like this one, I am reminded that 2021 is not an ordinary year. Just this past August, the nearly 20-year conflict in Afghanistan was formally concluded and our American servicemen and women were brought home. At this juncture, it's especially important to not only remember the military lives lost, but also to consider that more than 800,000 U.S. active duty military served in this war. They are now home, here in America, and among us. Considering all our veterans in Massachusetts who have served, there are an estimated 300,000 total veterans and active duty military who live among us. Those who have returned more recently from Afghanistan, Iraq, and other areas of conflict are now trying to build their lives back to some semblance of normal, learning to fit in again and be a part of the community. This is no easy task, made more difficult with the presence of an ongoing pandemic, which isolates us from one another and makes social interaction more difficult. Post-traumatic stress disorder is rampant among our veterans, as is opioid and substance use disorder, arising largely from the great stress and emotional toll that active duty inflicts upon our military personnel. It is critical that we, as their neighbors, reach out, lend a hand, take an interest to help ease that transition back to civilian life. Our veterans need our help, and we owe it to them to never forget their sacrifice. Please do all that you can to ensure our veterans are welcomed back into the community. I thank you for being here today and for the opportunity to participate in this ceremony, and may God bless all of our veterans and the citizens of the city of Woburn.
This time it gives me great pleasure to bring up to the microphone the Veterans Services Officer of the City of Woburn, Larry Giuseppe. Larry?
I would like to start by telling you that I was going to talk about the Angelo Piazza Bridge and also the new bridge going up on No Boston Street, but evidently I didn't exchange my notes with our state representatives and state senator. Welcome. Today is Veterans Day. Today is a day that we celebrate and honor all men and women that gave the time to serve our country. Memorial Day, we are sympathetic to those that have passed away and those that were killed in action. We have a wall across the way there. There's over 120 names of killed in action veterans listed on that wall with a star. Today, we celebrate and honor all veterans that have taken the time to join the military for 2, 3, 4, and even today, 6 years or more. I think you should hold your head extra high today. You should be proud of the service that you gave this country. Not everyone volunteered their services and lost 2, 3, and 4 years of their, maybe the best years of their lives while they were overseas or serving in the country. Which brings me to another point. At the Veterans Office, when people come in, a lot of times the first thing people will say is, well, oh, I don't go to the VA because I'm not a combat vet. And I stop them right there. A veteran is a veteran, no matter where you served. If you served Cape Cod, Cape Canaveral, Asia, Germany, wherever you served, you are a veteran. You did not get to choose your duty station. You were chosen and told where to go. So never be ashamed of where you did your duty. You did your duty, you served your country, and you should always, always be proud of that. And I wish all of you have a great day, and thank you for your support. And I would just like to let you know that the mayor said that George and I put the parade together. We really didn't. My assistant, Donna Cashin, who is here today, she actually put the parade together. So I see you over there, Donna. Thank you. Yes, and last night, Tommy Quigley and myself and a number of other people celebrated the 246th birthday of the United States Marine Corps. A Woburn veteran, Mike McCann, who will be 100 years old in January, cut the cake as the oldest veteran there and gave his life to the youngest veteran. And Mayor Galvin and I Monday visited the Country Club Heights for a celebration for Tom Pecora, who was a Navy veteran, and he turned 100. So a lot of the World War I veterans that we have still remaining in the city are nearing the century mark. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. But one thing you forgot to say, happy birthday, Marines! I do want to thank the FAA at Logan Airport. We've been having these flyovers of the planes on final approach to Logan Airport, so it's been kind of nice for our program today. I know the Air Force veterans really appreciate that. At this time, it gives me pleasure to invite to the podium drum majors from the Woburn High School Band, Molly Coyne and Michelle Sumner. They are going to read the Governor's Proclamation.
By the Allied nations in Germany, ending World War I, the war to end all wars. After 4 years of conflict, and whereas since that day, every November, people from around the nation have gathered to honor our veterans, and whereas there are approximately 388,000 veterans living in Massachusetts,
and whereas today we are reminded of the great sacrifices and contributions our veterans have made to the country, and whereas we honor and salute those who served our country throughout the generations with honor, patriotism, courage, and whereas it is appropriate that all Massachusetts citizens remember the bravery of those who served their country, so that their dedication and sacrifices serve as a reminder as the cost of our freedom. And whereas in November 2021, the world will commemorate the 103rd anniversary of the armistice that ended the fighting in World War I at 11 a.m. November 11th, 1918, the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. Now therefore, I, Charles Deacon, Governor of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, do hereby proclaim November 11th, 2021 to be Veterans Day, and urge all citizens of the Commonwealth to take cognizance of this event, participate fittingly in its observance. Given at the Executive Chamber in Boston this 11th day of November in the year 2021 and of the independence of the United States of America, 245th.
In the Governor's Proclamation, you heard it's the 103rd anniversary of the ending of World War I, the armistice. Today is a worldly holiday in the United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, Barbados, parts of India. Today is known as Remembrance Day. It's essentially their Memorial Day, where our Memorial Day is at the end of our Civil War. So again, it's not only a Veterans Day here, but around the world it's being recognized as the ending of the Great War. Just, if many of you were at the, I'm sure you were at the Halloween parade, you noticed that the high school band, the Woburn Memorial High School Marching Band, was not in the parade. They were involved in competition. And I was just informed that in that competition, I believe it was throughout the state, the Woburn Memorial High School Marching Band finished in 4th place. So let's give them a hand for that great job. This time, I invite the Woburn Memorial High School Marching Band to play a song for us. Now going to have a reading of the honor roll of the deceased veterans. Colors, right shoulder, arms. Present, arms. Francis E. Putzel Burke, World War II. Christine Teresa Sassi Donlin, Grenada. Richard E. Alger, Korean. Victor G. Osilio, Korean. Robert A. Bennett, Korean. Colin O. Bunn, World War II. William Calaccio, Vietnam. Gerald A. Jerry Cornoya, Korean. Charles Daly, Vietnam. Justin J. Din, Vietnam. Dr. David F. Donahue, Vietnam. Robert J. DeLong, Vietnam. Charles L. Dunn, World War II. Salvatore P. Fricassello, Korean. Maurice W. Finn, Korean. Leo J. Fitzgerald, Vietnam. James J. Foley, Vietnam. Roderick J. Gantz, Vietnam. Richard F. Gately Sr., World War II. John Lawrence Goodland, Korean. David P. Goodrich, peacetime. Joseph A. Gretschy Jr., peacetime. Charles E. Hart, Vietnam. Stephen P. Hogan Jr., Gulf War. William Allen Johnson, Vietnam. Richard L. Kerrigan, Korean. Frederick Labetz, Gulf War. James F. Francis McCarthy, III, Vietnam. Thomas Francis Murphy, Korean. Richard Carl Nolan, peacetime. John Lawrence Jack O'Brien Jr., Korean. James Francis O'Donnell, Vietnam. William V. Billy Page, Gulf War. Pasquale John Paradisio, World War II. Kim Scott Patterson, Vietnam. Edward E. Red Reel, Korean. John J. Roach, World War II. Anthony J. Sazia, World War II. Francis J. Frank Sharon Sr., Vietnam. Arthur A. Silva, Vietnam. Arthur A. Solomon, peacetime. Victor J. Stickler, Korean. Kenneth R. Summers, Korean. Richard C. Tafuri, Vietnam. Bernard E. Walsh, Korean. John William Watson Sr., Korean. Charles W. Wilson, peacetime. Retired Woburn Police Department Officer Robert C. Palmacci, Vietnam. Albert E. Audette, World War II. And Sergeant Anthony L. Lagone, killed in action, 15 September 1950, Korean. And may they all rest in peace. Amen. Colors, order arm, parade rest. You just heard me read the names of 50 veterans passed away. The last name I read was one we decided to reach back and recognize a true American hero. That was Sergeant Anthony Langone. Sergeant Anthony Langone was born on March 13th, 1931. At the age of 18, he enlisted in the United States Army on June 21st, 1949. He wrote a letter home to his family on September 2nd that he had been in combat for 14 days and then slept in sleeping holes for 14 days, also during a monsoon. It was shortly thereafter his unit, who was overwhelmed, got ordered to move out and move forward to the enemy lines. And sadly, on September 15th, 1950, he gave us his life for our country at the age of 19 years old. He was posthumously awarded the Silver Star and the Purple Heart. Anthony Langone grew up in North Woburn on East Nickel Street. That's the street right beside the North Woburn Fire Station. And right at the corner, it's known today as Anthony Langone and Square in honor of his service to our country. He is buried at Calvary Cemetery. And you know the sad part about it? If he had come home and lived and decided to have a celebratory drink, the bartender would have said, "I'm sorry, soldier, I can't serve you, you're old enough." And back in those days, he wasn't old enough to vote either, but he was old enough to give his life for our country. That's a true American hero. All of us today here that are veterans, we served our country. We're not heroes. We're very blessed that we came home alive. But the likes of Anthony Langone and all the ones that Larry mentioned where stars have a name, that's the true recognition of an American hero. So that the Langone family, we want to say thank you. We want to say thank you for the years of suffering, of your loss, of your loved one, a great hero. And we also want to thank him for what he did for our country. And remembering any other, they're a Gold Star family, and if there are any other Gold Star family members here to you, we want to thank you for the sacrifice you've made of your loved one giving their life for service to our country. One other name I do want to mention was the name of Al Audette. Al Audette was a great supporter of our programs over the year. He was in the Army. He was in the United States Army Air Corps. And he was in the 8th Air Force in England. If you were in the 8th Air Force during World War II, you had a very high mortality rate. And Al shared with me a few years ago that he went on 32 missions over enemy lines in France and Germany. And he said they made it back to England except for one time. They had mechanical issues of low fuel, and they had to ditch the plane in the English Channel. And he told me the whole crew survived uninjured, and 48 hours later, they were back up on another mission. Al was a supporter of our programs over the years. When he could march, he did. And this past July, he passed away at the age of 99. In the last few years, he always would stand right over there in the corner, and it always looked right at me in the eye to make sure that I was doing a good job. So, to Al's family, I know they're here today. We also want to say thank you, and we want to thank Al to the years of service he gave to our country, and to all the names I read. If family members are here, we do want to thank you also for your loved one's loss. And now I'm going to invite Deacon Phil Hardcastle to come back up for a benediction. Deacon Phil.
God our Father, we ask you this Veterans Day to continue to hold to your heart in the kingdom that is heaven all those who have died and given their lives for the freedom of our country, from its founding to now. We also ask you to remember all veterans of the armed forces who have served and who continue to serve this day around the world. Bless them always, and bless their families who anxiously await their return. We ask this, Father, of you. Amen.
Thank you, Deacon. To my right, to your left, on the little common just past the turn here, there's the Blue Star flag. For those of you who may not know what it means, it's the white flag trimmed in red with the blue star in the middle. What that indicates, if you see that on a home, that means that's a family that has a loved one serving in the military, a son or a daughter, a grandchild also serving. And I know we have Blue Star families here today. And I do want to take this time for all of you that have children or grandchildren serving in the military. On behalf of the United Veterans Council of Woburn, please thank them for their service to our country, and please wish them a happy Veterans Day. I do know that a number of Woburn young residents are serving currently overseas, so please remember them, especially with the holidays coming up, Thanksgiving, Hanukkah, Christmas, New Year's. If you have an address of a neighbor, someone, send them a card. I know the modern way is to text, to Facebook, and all that stuff, but it's always nice to get mail too. I don't even know if they still get mail in the military, but if you do know a neighbor, just reach out to them and thank them for their service to our country. We're now going to have a firing of the volley from the American Legion Post 101, followed by taps, Joanne Campbell and the City Band and the Woburn Memorial High School Band singing and playing the national anthem. Color guard, when ready, fire 3 volleys.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' rude glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
In closing, just offer a few thank yous. We had some nice military vehicles in the parade today, a nice touch. I want to recognize Dan Stocker, Greg Cummings from the Woburn Elks with all the military flags, patriotic flags that participate in the parade, and recognizing all the veterans here today. Again, share some words that Mayor Galvin shared, a very special thank you to the Woburn Police and Fire Department for providing us with safety and security today and participating in the parade. And how about to all the scouting units that when the Girl Scouts, Brownies, Daisies, Boy Scouts, and also we had a nice representative of the Woburn Boys and Girls Club that be in the parade here today. So thanks to all of you. And to all the units that participate in the parade, to everybody that came down today, thank you so much for being here today. To every veteran that's here, when you joined the military, when you got drafted, you made great sacrifices. As Larry shared earlier, You were 19 years old, 20, late teens, early 20s. You left your home. You went far away for a number of years sometimes. You gave great sacrifices, being away from the holidays, being in strange areas. That's a great part of your life that you gave away where you could have been out working and making money. And to every veteran that's here today, regardless of your branch of service, regardless of your military occupation, it doesn't matter. Regardless whether you were overseas or stateside, it doesn't matter. Always, always remember that you are a veteran of the United States Armed Forces. Hold your head up and always say, yes, I am a veteran of the United States Armed Forces. To all the veterans here today, happy Veterans Day. To everybody that's here, thank you for being here, and God bless all of you, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you all for being here today. Thank you.